What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, and today we are going to be taking the brand new Thunderlord exotic machine gun through every single encounter of the Leviathan Raid and ranking its performance. Now, we did a raid versus with the Thunderlord and the Last Wish raid, check that out if you want to, but the Leviathan is an old classic, and we've done so many raid versuses with other exotic weapons in this raid, it's a great way to compare the Thunderlord's performance with other exotic weapons in the game. Now, if I sound a little bit different, is because I'm using my mobile setup. I am in San Francisco at the ASTRO headquarters to go and check out the brand new, just announced C40 controller. This thing is insane. It's modular, so you can switch around the thumbsticks, put it into a PlayStation controller configuration or an Xbox controller configuration. It comes with software that lets you adjust the sensitivity of your thumbstick movements, of your trigger, all of that stuff. And guys, the best part is that if you do want to get this controller, if you want to pre-order it right now, affiliate codes do work, so you can click the link in the description down below. That's going to automatically apply a code that you're going to see at the checkout, so save some money if you want to hop on this product. I think it's going to be a big deal. It feels really great to use. But on to the raid versus video. The first thing we're going to look at is the Thunderlord itself. It has two unique exotic perks. The first one is the intrinsic perk Rain Havoc. Kills with this weapon generate lightning strikes from above. Next up, we have lightning rounds. This weapon fires faster and more accurately the longer the trigger is held. Continuous damage generates lightning strikes. So, how does this weapon perform in the first encounter of Leviathan with Castellum? Well, initially, you just have a lot of red health enemies to kill. A lot of legionaries, a lot of phalanxes, and the Thunderlord is definitely renowned for being able to take out baseline adds extremely quickly. It does a ton of AoE damage. The thunder strikes combined with the arc explosions, combined with the fact that it doesn't take too many shots to take down a red health enemy, and you have a massive 62 round magazine. It's been phenomenal for me in taking down those baseline enemies, and in the Castellum, it still maintains how good it is in other aspects of the game. However, there is kind of a caveat here, because the Thunderlord is, like I said, unreal at taking down those baseline adds, but it's best at taking down the weakest of those baseline adds. We're talking thralls and so on. So one shot can start triggering a bunch of explosions and thunder strikes and kill a group of, like I said, thralls or scions or something like that. But the Cabal are kind of the most powerful, the beefiest of those red health enemies, those baseline enemies. So they are going to require more ammo than if you're fighting another faction. If this was Hive or something like that, the Thunderlord would be even better. It's still very good here, but it's not at its absolute best. Now, you will also have to deal with the yellow health reclaimers in this, and here the Thunderlord it's pretty decent. Like, just a quick burst will take down a reclaimer. You know, it doesn't take up the entire magazine or anything like that. It's potentially a few more shots than you would like, and you start to get a little bit ammo conscious if you're not running a bunch of heavy ammo finders or something like that, but it's certainly no slouch. It's great at taking down just groups of enemies, and enemies within this encounter tend to group up, so very, very effective. I would say an easy 8 out of 10 in this encounter. Very effective. Now, moving on from there, the next encounter we have is the Pleasure Gardens, and this is interesting because this is our first DPS check. We have killed countless of these war beasts within the raid versus series. How will the Thunderlord stack up? Well, you know, firstly, you're killing beast herders and stuff like that. Who cares about that? Let's just look at how much damage it does against the war beasts, against the dogs. Well, we did get a 24 stack, which sometimes we do 12, but 24 is still extremely standard. Like, that's kind of what you're doing as a bare minimum as a group. So we're not getting something like a 64 stack where any gun would just melt these dogs. And with a 24 stack, oh my goodness, the Thunderlord shreds. I had the opportunity to melting point as a Titan, and I didn't. That would have been an extra 50% more damage. I could have probably killed this dog in one single magazine, but again, I'm trying to give you guys a reasonable look at this weapon's performance, not, you know, how many debuffs I can put on an enemy. And therefore, again, the Thunderlord just did fantastic, nearly killing a dog by just one magazine. And then it's a simple reload or a throw of a grenade or a use of a super, and that dog is totally destroyed. One of the best parts about using the Thunderlord in this encounter is that when you're damaging the big war beast, you're going to be creating those electricity explosions and also lightning strikes, and these smaller red health war beasts that come and try to attack you mid-fight are going to automatically die if you stand at the right angle or you are placed, you know, right beside the war beast and you're just damaging him, like barrel stuffing him basically. All those explosions are just going to automatically kill the other war beasts. Like, you won't even have to pay attention to them. They'll just die because of all the AoE damage, which is super, super awesome. So, for the Pleasure Gardens encounter, I honestly don't think you could ask any more of this weapon. Not only is it fantastic at DPSing the thing you need to DPS, but its other features make it so that you get killed less often and you have less pressure from those other ads that spawn too. So, I mean, 10 out of 10. It's honestly incredible against the dogs. Now, moving on from there, we have the Gauntlet encounter. This is broken up into two different sections. The first section is just killing enemies. The second section, of course, being shooting the symbols and running. Now, the first section is really the one you're going to use weapons in, so we'll focus on that. Here, the enemies spawn out of doorways, always in groups of 3, 1 Scion and 2 Legionaries. If you kill the Legionary, you will automatically kill the Scion if it's anywhere near, and you'll very much wound the other Legionary. Just a quick burst on these enemies will dispatch them pretty darn quickly. Very, very good here. Now, you will also have the yellow bar Centurion come out. This guy is going to take a considerable more amount of shots to take down, but the Thunderlord definitely isn't slacking in this department. It takes him down in a very reasonable amount of shots. You're not using the entire magazine or anything like that. So here the Thunderlord is very, very good against those baseline ads and the slightly more powerful ads as well. With all that being said, the same issue in the Castellum comes up again here a little bit, where the beefier Cabal use more ammunition than other enemy factions would, so it's maybe not the best in this encounter when you're talking about just pure viability of this weapon, but it's certainly still very, very good. And in case you're wondering, it shoots those symbols just fine for the running portion of this encounter. So I'm going to give the Thunderlord here an 8 out of 10. Now, moving on from there, we have the Royal Pools encounter. How does the Thunderlord perform here? Well, again, there are two different sections. Firstly, you just have defending your plate. The main thing you're going to be pressured by here is those bathers, and a lot of exotics, we've seen them do damage to these bathers, and frankly, out of all of them I've used, including stuff like the Wardcliff, the Whisper, the Sleeper, I was shocked by how quickly you can kill these bathers with a Thunderlord. It's very easy to line up headshots. You just go to town and they just disappear. In around 20-25 shots, they're gone. You've killed your bather. That's insane. It's a 60-round magazine. You could kill basically 3 bathers without having to reload. Like, that is amazing. And also, there's a lot of Scions running around in the background. There's some Legionaries too. Being able to like one-shot headshot the Scions is very, very good. And of course, they're going to damage anything else nearby. And the other red health ads, they don't tend to group up as much, but they still need to be killed. And the Thunderlord does a pretty good job at doing that. So unreal against the bathers and pretty good against the red bars. But the second portion of this encounter is damaging the lanterns. Now here, the Thunderlord is pretty darn good. Unfortunately, we had a really poor timed rift placement, so I ended up shooting the lanterns actually quite a bit more than I was necessarily expecting. But with that being said, you know, the fire rate does really pick up, and if you have the ammunition to spare, you're going to be doing very amazing things with the damage output once that rate of fire is really kicking up with the Thunderlord. Now, because the lanterns are kind of coded weird, and they're not really considered enemies, they're considered objects, so you don't generate the lightning strikes when you shoot these lanterns. So you're missing out on the DPS you would get if you were shooting, you know, a boss or something like that. Still very, very good because of the ramp up in rate of fire, but not as good as the Thunderlord is in many other DPS scenarios, so keep that in mind. But overall, still a very, very good weapon. I'm going to rank the Thunderlord a 9 out of 10 in the Royal Pools. Now, moving on from there, we have the final Leviathan encounter against Big Daddy Calais. How does the Thunderlord perform here? Well, this has many different sections. Now, the first one is just killing enemies in the throne room, and here, the Thunderlord is predictably amazing. We've talked about that problem about the Cabal having more health, etc., but here, you have some of the lower tier Cabal making a big presence. You have quite a few Scions and War Beasts, and they are just mowed down by the Thunderlord and its AoE damage and lightning strikes and so on. Some of the more powerful enemies are still really not much to take down. Even the yellow bar enemies often will have arc shields, which, as you can imagine, works out very, very well with the Thunderlord. So yeah, it decimates enemies in the throne room. But another section is the void room, is the big head room. How is it here? Well, killing the Scions, it's fine. Not really too concerned about that. What about damaging the skulls? What about killing the skulls? Well, I mean, it does have those AoE explosions, but skulls are like the lanterns, coated very strangely. You really don't see lightning strikes when you're shooting them with the Thunderlord. And I tried for a bit, but gave up pretty quickly. I didn't want to waste ammo for the Calus encounter. It's just not worth it. Now, that's not to say it's bad at killing the skulls. On the contrary, it's very, very good. It feels like an auto rifle with over 60 rounds in the magazine that does a lot more damage. But that's kind of the problem. It feels most similar to an auto rifle. You really don't get those exotic perk benefits when you're using it here. It's not chaining lightning or anything like that. And therefore, again, it feels very wasteful using your power ammo for this against the skulls instead of just using a normal auto rifle. But moving on from there, we have the real DPS check against Calus. Right here, we are just using one Well of Radiance to get a damage boost, and the rest of it is just the Thunderlord. We're using a well just because, like, everyone from the time Forsaken came out to the time Destiny 3 comes out is going to be using wells on damage phases. But how is the Thunderlord? Well, unbelievably good. Like, oh my goodness. I've tested a lot of weapons again, a lot of exotic weapons in this Raid versus series. I don't think we took Calus down easier than like with any other weapon. Like maybe the Sleeper and the Whisper were close to the Thunderlord, but man, one plate and a bit, 1.5 plates, and heck, I mean, I ran out of ammo. We probably could have killed him even faster just on that one plate if I would have gotten a little bit luckier drops, but my goodness, does this weapon output a lot of damage. 6 people with the Thunderlord just rolled over Calus. Again, 1.5 plates. That's so easy. And unlike the Sleeper and the Whisper, where you can miss a few shots and your DPS can kind of vary greatly, especially the Whisper, if you just miss one shot and you miss that chain, and things can really kind of spiral and make your DPS quite a bit less. But the Thunderlord is just so easy to use. If Calus flinches, you just keep holding that trigger and follow his head wherever it goes. Like, it's so user-friendly. And therefore, I mean, Unreal in the throne room, really, really effective. Great against the skulls, although probably not worth using, but in a pinch, you can use it if you need to. And unbelievable against Calus. I mean, that's all you want. That's really what you're looking for in this encounter. So, in the Calus encounter, Thunderlord, 10 out of 10. I can't imagine you needing something else from this point going forward. Like, why use the Sleeper considering it's so bad against those adds when you could just use the Thunderlord and it's tremendous against the adds? And I mean, you can't use the Sleeper in a pinch against the skulls. You can the Thunderlord. So again, Thunderlord, 10 out of 10. It's phenomenal. So moving on from there, we have the last rating, and this is the versatility rating. This is how good a weapon is at any given moment during the raid. And oh my goodness, the Thunderlord. Like, it blows my mind just how powerful this weapon is. This random new exotic gets dropped into the game from some quest that isn't even that hard, and it is just absolutely viable in the very end game. So, viability rating, 9 out of 10. It's that good no matter what you're doing in this raid. It's fantastic. The Thunderlord is one of the few weapons, potentially the only weapon, that's unbelievable against killing groups of adds, low tier adds, and also phenomenal at damaging a singleton target. That is a very, very high bar in terms of an exotic weapon in PvE. Guys, that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.